What's going on, Trophy Kids? It is the NFL show. We are back. We are ready to roll. We're going to cover every game this week. We're going to talk about the absolute disaster that happened in Washington around the celebration of Sean Taylor and retiring his jersey. Some other NFL news. It's a great show. You know what it is. Let's roll. And welcome to Trophy Kids, presented by Bad News Media. It is Friday. I haven't even looked at the date. 22nd. We are back for the almost at college. I'm all over the place. We're on a Thursday. We're recording this on Thursday. My brain is just mush at this point. I don't know what I'm doing. Michael's back with us. How are we doing today, good sir?
I am great. Happy Thursday, Friday morning to you.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird. I got giant, for those of you who can't see because they're not looking at the video, I have just giant headphones on right now. I look like a freaking 1990s DJ. I left my headphones. I visited Tim this weekend, who does the college show. Left my headphones, left a mask up there, just real fun stuff in the greater state of Michigan. But it was nice to go to a state where I can just legally gamble whenever I want. That was real nice.
Oh, yeah. You don't have that luxury, do you?
No, I got to hop over to Indiana or when I'm going to go up to Michigan or use one of the offshore accounts. It's just it's a disaster. I need Ohio to really get it together.
Get with the times. What's going on over there?
Well, there's a bill sitting in the Senate and it just hasn't passed the House or something because they're figuring out licensing. I was like, who cares? Just figure it out and get it done. What are we doing?
Stamp it. Moving on.
West Virginia has it. Indiana has it. Michigan. 3 states that surround us all have it.
Call the neighbors. Call a neighbor.
Phone a friend. Figure it out. This isn't hard. I don't understand it.
You get paid. What are you doing?
Yeah, but speaking of gambling, this week's board, I looked at it and man, it's a bit of a doozy to try to navigate. I mean, there are some I feel like this is a very solid weekend for teasers. I have one that I'm not a big teaser guy. I don't know about you, but there's one that I'm looking at pretty nicely, I think. That we'll talk about here. I'll throw it out at the end of the show once we go through all the notes, but there's a lot of big spreads out there this week for the NFL. It feels like a college board, to be honest.
Yeah, there are definitely a couple out there. I mean, I'll throw a tease out. Usually I'll just throw like one tease out every weekend, just to have it out there, just some sort of like plus 300 sort of tease I have out there. But I don't do it too often. But yeah, this board is some huge spreads. Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. What was I going to say too? There was, I do the I'll usually throw like a parlay in there every week. I'm good for about one to hit every year, which is nice. But there was I saw today, there is a dude who has a 4-team parlay, 3 NBA underdogs that have all hit. He's got money line on the Browns. He bet 30,000 to win like 1.3 million. Who has 30,000 to put on a 14 parlay? Like, who are these people? I don't understand this. What do you all do for a living? Please show me.
Yeah, that's so gnarly. And if he's betting 30,000, you can't even really feel bad for him if he loses. Hopefully he's got, another 30,000, just to put on the Broncos just in case.
I'd be calling friends, taking out a home equity loan, like doing something to hedge that bet or just cash out. It's like a $600,000 cash out.
Yeah. Either cash out or just do a little hedgy in there. But that's gnarly, but I can't feel bad for him if he loses. You're putting down 30K, unless you have some serious problem. But on a parlay, you gotta have cash to do that.
Absolutely insane. One of these weeks we're gonna start going. I thought about it this week. I just didn't organize it. We got to do a recap, like a take stock. Maybe next week we'll do a little take stock of where the NFL is at. It's almost a halfway point. There's no technically halfway point because we have an odd number in the NFL anymore. Hate it. Can't go 500 unless there's a tie somehow. But maybe next week we'll do a little take stock of the NFL. But we got some games to rattle off. I don't think we should spend a whole lot of time. I haven't made my pick too, but we might as well for the listeners. It's gonna be a little time warp here. This Thursday night game giving me all types of fits. I don't know. I haven't put out a pick 2 video yet for the Trophy Kids. The line's at 1.5. Broncos are plus 1 or 1.5. I apologize. I'm just all over the place. Over under 40.5. I don't even know what to make of this game. Like, these teams are not only banged up. The Browns are what? They're going to pull a parking lot security guard to play offensive line at this point. Like, I don't know what we're doing. Case Keenum, the downgrade is crazy to me because I don't think Case Keenum is like all that big of a downgrade, given he's been in the offense before in the Vikings and showed he can perform. But like this game, I can't make heads or tails of it.
No one's playing for the Browns.
No.
I mean, no one is playing for them. They have.
They did get Landry back. I did see that. He's gonna play.
Okay, he's back. I mean, I'm guessing Beckham's not correct.
No, I did not see
Okay.
he was. I don't believe he's active.
They said he was a super long shot. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they have no one playing for them, and I don't know what to do for this game either. Because I mean, Denver's pretty banged up too. But I mean, me personally, I think I'm just probably going to do Denver money line. I'll probably be wrong on it, but I think it's worth just giving it a try, just because no one is playing for Cleveland. Like, why not?
Like, yeah, why not? It's a terrible. Like, it's bad. Like, we're gonna get a decent matchup next Thursday night, but this is the bad part. This is the point I did want to bring up. What do you do with Baker Mayfield? Because I think this is a question that, you know, it's starting to be asked. You don't want to be behind the Lamar Jackson contract that is coming down the pipeline, because that's going to set the market. But like, what do you do with Baker? Because in his contract situation right now,
dude, that is so difficult because, you know, quarterbacks, you don't necessarily always get paid based off just how good you are. So I mean, Baker's gonna command a lot of money, but is he? I mean, it's so hard to say with him. I've seen this go the wrong way, but I mean, it worked out for Dallas. Obviously, it didn't work out for Washington. But I mean, do you slap a tag on him? I don't know. You might want to go that route. I mean, I've obviously seen that go really bad, but shit, I don't know what to do with that guy.
This is where I thought they're in the worst possible position, because he is not an elite quarterback. That's not controversial, but he's not a bad quarterback, and you are a good football team. So you're in like the worst situation possible, because you can't really roll the dice in the draft unless you're going to trade up. I mean, this draft class is a little watered down, I believe, anyway, but you're not going to have a high enough pick really to go get a top tier guy unless one falls. You're not to the point where you just want to abandon him and start over with somebody else, because you're like, windows in the NFL are so small as it is, and your team is built to be extremely competitive. And they are when this Browns team is healthy, they're incredibly competitive, and they're in the conversation for making a run at it here. And unless you're going to roll the dice and somehow, you know, convince Aaron Rodgers to come to Cleveland, which I don't think is ever going to happen. You play the free agency market. Like, it's just, to me, I like take the conservative part and go like, we know what Baker is. You know, he needs to stop making boneheaded moves, like going and tackling a guy after throwing a pick. Like that was that was the most Baker being maker thing ever. Like getting hurt on a pick that he threw trying to tackle a guy. Like, you can't do that. You're the franchise, bro. You're the most important position on the field. Have you not seen Friday Night Lights and Matt Street? Like, what are we doing here? But yeah, it is. I think you sign him. You definitely don't want to sign him after the Lamar. So if the Browns are leaning towards signing him, you can't let Lamar's contract set the market, because that's going to set the market. Right. Like, you're not going to pay him Lamar money, obviously, but you're going to have to pay more than you would had you gotten that contract done before his guy January contract comes down the line. So I think you sign him, but because he is like, he can be good. He's good in the Stefanski offense.
But I mean, when you just think about like, what is the immediate alternative? I mean, it's pretty much like, you got to sign the guy, because there really isn't one.
Yeah, not at all. There really isn't. Like, you don't want to start over, because then you're going to waste this window you have where you have, you know, backs, their lifespan is short, and you've got a two-headed monster right now. You got a defense that's playing well. You've got an offense that rolls when healthy, and an offensive line that's great. Like, I think you just rolled the dice and say, screw it, let's go, and try to make it as team friendly as possible.
I think that's what you got to do.
All right. Well, we just solved that for you, Browns. I'd like commission checks sent to us at some point here for this nice decision we just made for you.
0.5% of his deal.
Yeah, that's all. Fine. Send it to me, Baker. We'll get in touch. Don't worry. Yeah. I just made you money. All right, let's move on. This game I love. I am a big fan of this bet. I'm a little scared. Last week, the bet I was scared of, crushed it. Jags, we nailed that. Knocked it out of the park. Knew they were getting that win. Dolphins might be the worst team in the NFL. I think they are. We're going to talk about them in a bit. But we nailed that pick. This game, Bengals, Ravens. The line is at 6.5. The over-under is 46.5. I'm in love with this 6.5 points for the Bengals right now. I'm having a hard time talking myself out of it. Where do you kind of lie on this game?
I would agree. I wouldn't talk yourself out of it at all. The Bengals, I mean, they're a competitive team. They don't lose by a lot. They haven't lost by a lot yet. I think they'll keep this game close. I'm not going to do it. I don't even hate the money line. Baltimore's got to lose eventually. We thought, you know, Buffalo was never going to lose again. Then they ran into Baltimore. Yep. So, I mean, Baltimore's, you know, they're going to slow down eventually. And I don't hate them on the money line. I'm not going to do it, but I love them catching 6.5 though. I mean, that's just a great bet.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. And when I was doing my research, I was very surprised. And this year, I did not expect to be uttering the sentence I'm about to utter. These two teams are very alike in a lot of ways. Both top 5 net yards gained per pass attempt on offense. Bengals are 5th, Ravens are 4th. Both defenses, well, I shouldn't say both defenses. Both defenses are top 15 in rush defense as far as yards allowed per attempt. Bengals are a little better. They're sneakily pretty good on defense. The offenses are very mirror-like in the passing game. Ja'Marr Chase, you can't play single coverage on him. Now, the Ravens do have kind of the potential kryptonite here in Humphrey. Like, you can put him on Chase and you're probably going to do pretty decent. But Ja'Marr Chase, you can't single coverage. It's insane that people are even trying anymore. Every game, I was in the Detroit Bengals game. I literally turned to my buddy. I saw them on single coverage. I'm like, Ja'Marr Chase is getting this. Ripped off a fucking like 60-yard catch. I did it the same. Like every time he's in single coverage, you can pretty much just cue as long as Joe Burrow looks at him, he's about to rip off a giant receiving yard for a gain. The guy's absolutely electric. These teams are very comparable, pretty much identical points per game. Ravens are putting up 4 points more. But yeah, the Bengals defense sneakily good too against the run. Like it's an interest. Catching 6 it's a lot, I feel like here.
Yeah, it seems just aggressive. And I mean, both teams, obviously very good at stopping the run. So I think it's going to be kind of just be more so of a shootout. But yeah, I mean, if you have Ja'Marr Chase, obviously keep starting him in your fantasy league. That guy is playing out of his mind, dude. It was just so fun. I love the overreactions in preseason. Preseason overreactions, one of my favorite topics in the NFL. They're so funny. Who cares that he didn't catch a ball in the preseason or he caught one ball and dropped 4, whatever the hell it was. He is a stud. And yeah, I just like them catching 6.5. I'm shocked kind of by that spread.
Absolute greatest troll job ever, telling us he was having a hard time catching it because he couldn't see the white lines because they aren't on the football anymore in the NFL. Like, dude having no issues. Other interesting part, Joe Burrow, PFF's highest graded passing grade versus the blitz. Ravens blitz at the 5th highest rate. Fun little fact too, I did not see coming for a Ravens defense. Most yak yards given up on passing plays. 960 total yards after catch, which is an NFL worst through the air. Surprising.
960 yak?
Apparently. That's the stat I pulled this week. Crazy. Blew my mind. Went when I saw
they've only given up like 1,600 passing yards in total. Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Now I need to go double check it because I'm like, maybe am I like stupid or last night, like just not able to like sleep. I just making that up. But yeah.
No, I don't think you're making it up.
Oh yeah, no, yak yards. Yards after catch on completions. 968. Sorry, they're the second worst. Dallas is the worst at 998 yards.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. More than half the yards they've given up through the air come after catch.
Ja'Marr Chase is gonna be running all over the field.
Yep. Love the Bengals. Plus the 6.5. Alrighty, this game is hold on to your butts. We're heading to hell. Panthers Giants plus 3.5. The Giants are catching. Last I checked, I'm going to need to make sure that number hasn't changed. It has not. Over under 43.5. I hate this game. This is just I don't know what to make. What do we do here? Like, how are we picking either one? I don't know. Maybe you have a better read. I tried to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm taking Giants to home dog, plus 3 at home. Daniel Jones, at times can show some real flashes of genius. And the Panthers defense is obviously not as good as it started off. Still a good defense, but they're banged up. Sam Darnold has come back. Like, he's seen the ghost of Adam Gase out there. He is coming back to life as far as like what we're familiar with. A guy that I was never really high out coming out of college. He's starting to tamper off a little bit. Where are you making this game end, and kind of what's your read on it?
I feel I'm leaning a little more towards the Panthers. I agree. Darnold is definitely, coming back to, the Darnold we know. He didn't really do anything last game until that last drive, which was a phenomenal drive. But the one thing I'll say about the Panthers is like they're I'm not going to compare them to the Bengals because the Bengals are a better team, but they're like the Bengals in the sense that they compete with everyone they play. They have yet to get like blown out. They haven't lost by, I think, probably not more than 6 that I know of. And while we've seen the Giants get smoked a few times this year. So I'm just leaning more towards the Panthers. I just think we know they're a much better coached team. And they compete much better. They've played some pretty good teams and stayed within, 6 points, 3 points, whatever in all their games. So I'm going to go Carolina here to at least win by more than 3.
I don't hate it. You are correct. I mean, we've seen the Giants kind of get blown out in a couple games. You know, that Dallas game comes to mind, losing by 24 and then also getting a nice little fight at the end. Joe Judge's days have got to be numbered, right? Like he's our first coach out, I think, this year fired, right?
I mean, I guess Gruden wasn't fired.
No,
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I think Joe Judge is going to be the first to go because you can't coach the way Joe Judge coaches and be losing the way you are losing football games. It just doesn't work in the National Football League.
Just such a me guy, all about me. Joe Judge on the sideline and just getting his ass kicked. He's so annoying. I'm like, why is Joe Judge getting this much screen time? Like, he's a second year coach. What are we doing?
Yeah. These Bill Belichick guys aren't really panning out on I gotta look up the number on like his coaching tree compared to others because it really is. It ain't good. Like it's just not.
I mean, we liked Brian Flores. I think I still like Brian Flores, but I'm a little concerned about Brian Flores.
But you just think of all the coaches who have come out of New England. It's not a high level of success. I mean, it's a tough business anyway to be successful in, but it ain't great. And they try to make it the Patriots way, and that is a very defined space that works in. You need a Tom Brady type quarterback and leader to kind of help man the playership when the coaching is coaching that way. And we're seeing that in New England, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, but like things fall apart very quickly when you have a really kind of tight ass coach.
Yep.
That's what happens. All righty. Your football team versus the Packers. This is a game I am thinking about teasing. The Packers are 9.5 favorites. Over under is 48.5. I think the fact that I just said that kind of gives a potential lean here. This is a game. I'll let you I guess I'll let you start. I have a bit of a rant that I'm going to cut in here with at one point, but where do you feel in this game?
I feel like we'll probably get our asses kicked. Let's be honest here. The team's just really starting to crumble. The defense is so poor. I will never, and actually I can't say this because I'm not a GM, but if I was a GM, I would never, ever sign another team's cornerback to big money. We have been burned by Norman. We're not getting burned by William Jackson. I would never do that again. We let go of Ronald Darby, 3-year, $10 million contract over with Denver. And we bring in William Jackson for a 3-year, $42 million contract. I'm sure William Jackson's $32 million better than Ronald Darby. Not a chance. I don't know. It blows my mind. I would never pay corners, safeties, and running backs. They would never get a dime from me in the NFL. Anyways, no. I think we'll probably get our asses kicked. The only chance we have is you can run all over Green Bay. So if somehow, some way we, get up 7-0 and God help us, somehow our defense gets a pick six and we go up 14-0 and we can, somehow control the ball by running all over this team. Maybe we can cover. But I don't think we will. There's a wager that I love here, actually. Which is first drive result, which is offensive touchdown plus 290. And it's kind of a fun wager because it's kind of a two-part wager. Because first of all, you're kind of wagering on the coin toss that Green Bay is going to win or it's going to receive the ball.
Yep. Once
Green Bay receives the ball, they're going to score a touchdown. The biggest risk in this wager is the coin toss. All right. If Green Bay gets that ball, it's a lock. So I love that. Plus 290, bet it. Just risk the coin toss. I don't see Washington just being able, just like in most games, I don't see how we're going to be able to hang with this team when, we're giving up 31 points a game and we're playing against Aaron Rodgers. We give up like over 300 passing yards a game, which is worse than the NFL. And I don't know what the Rodgers prop is on passing yards. It's probably like 312 or something. Go over. I mean, he'll go over. Don't worry. That's a lock as well. There's so many locks in this game on wagers against Washington. It's hilarious. So, and yeah, minus 7.5 would also be a lock in my opinion. So that's my opinion on this awful game.
That's fair. I don't hate the read. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I will say this, the one thing that you have going for you, Packers are dead last in red zone defense. They have 15 trips to the red zone, 15 touchdowns. So if you can get there, you have a shot of scoring above average.
Let me just interrupt you here for 1 second. Now, last week against that terrible Chiefs defense, we had 0 red zone snaps. So
I was gonna say the key is getting there. Once there, you're probably golden, but it's a challenge to get there right now in Washington.
Yes.
Yeah, things are unraveling quite dramatically here for the Washington football team. Here's another thing I noticed when I was watching that game. Is it just me, or does Chase Young, when he plays the 3 technique, does he just get down at the very last second? Like he does not get down in his 3 technique until the very last moment. And I don't know if that has any actual effect, but he feels like the only player I watch where it's like literally the last second he's getting down to it.
He's been like that kind of a lot. I've noticed that. I think it's just kind of a thing he does. I would like him down a little quicker, though. I agree. You know, maybe. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. Chase Young, he's started to turn on a little bit, but it's been a bit of a frustrating start to the season. No doubt about that.
Yeah, they are starting to turn on it a little bit. Definitely frustrating. The football team has definitely increased their blitz percentage, their pressure percentage has come up a little bit. I remember we were talking earlier in the season. It was pretty down there in the gutter. Similar to just the organization in general. And that's kind of the play. This is a non-football play, but what we have seen from this Washington football team is just that they have, not football team, I should apologize. The organization is that they lack any sort of moral fiber or just human decency at any level. And we saw that perfectly played out in the Sean Taylor tribute this week, a family that deserved a hell of a lot more than they got. You know, the way they honored arguably I wouldn't say maybe the most beloved player of an organization. He might be, you have a better read at it, but one of the most beloved players the organization has ever had. You turn on a Washington football team and the 5 fans that are in the stadium, probably 3 of them have Sean Taylor jerseys on. They put his family in the road sign in front of a porta potty. They give him basically 0 time at halftime. They don't even let the family know. I think the brother found out via Twitter. You have the VIP section is on his number. We got Jackson dancing all over it. It's just an absolute disaster. You should expect nothing less from this franchise. Dan Snyder has shown 0 ability to be a half decent human being when it's the most easiest thing in the world to do. And it just sucks for a man whose life was cut short, who was a son, a brother, a father, a partner to his girlfriend, you know, just in one of the best football players the team has had. And they just show you that if you dedicated your entire life to this organization, it means nothing to them. And that just goes on top of all the other things that are going on with the Washington football team and Dan Snyder. And I'm to the point where honestly, like, nobody should show up to a game, honestly.
No.
And there should be a force of sale. It is absolutely ridiculous that we are still dealing with this organization. And Jason Wright wants to be out here like things are changing. No, they're not. You had an opportunity to show that is the case, and you completely failed on every single level.
Let me tell you, the Jason Wright, Ron Rivera, you know, honeymoon or homecoming or whatever, that's done. That is done. You're talking about one of the most brutal and battered down fan bases in the NFL. I mean, for those who don't really know, I mean, if you just go look at Washington football team Twitter, you will go to a brutal place. It is
bad.
Yeah, they are not happy people, me amongst them. Yeah, I mean, this is a team, like, as a fan, where, I mean, I'm almost conditioned to like the chaos. Like, it's like whatever. I mean, I'm so used to it. It's ridiculous, but it's an awful team. You know, it's from, you know, the product on the field to everything happening behind the scenes. This is a team that in my lifetime has probably only drafted 2 players that are worthy of the Hall of Fame. One who died at 24 tragically, and the other one we just decided, you know, we're going to misdiagnose his cancer. So obviously he left. Yeah, I mean, it's a disaster of a team, but
add it to the list of things to grow up.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Like, I mean,
yeah. And
terrible.
This is, at this point, what I'd ask is Miami football, step up, please. Like, give the Taylor family what they deserved and just a dignified, you know, memorial to Sean Taylor. Like, at this point, like, Miami next year, step up, please. Like, retire that man's jersey, put him in the hall, and give him the ceremony he honestly deserved for the type of player he was.
What blows my mind is like how I would imagine amongst the owners, I can't imagine Dan's the most popular. How does someone not speak up and just say, look, this guy is terrible for our business. He's got to go. And the only thing I can think of is that they all just have, you know, skeletons. They all have skeletons in their closet, and Dan probably knows about all of them. And Dan will bring it all out.
It's that theory, or they just hate Jeff Bezos so much and they don't want him in the league because he is buying whatever team goes up for sale next. Jeff Bezos is buying.
Yeah.
Like, so it's one of the two.
Yeah. Someone
your
outbid
money.
him. I dare you.
Yeah. But it's an absolute disaster, which is unfortunate for the Washington football fan base, and the organization as a whole.
For
But
sure.
back to kind of football, honestly, teasing the pack down to below a field goal potentially here, like,
Oh yeah.
I don't hate it.
It's a lock of the century.
Yep. So that might find its way into a teaser. I don't know if the football team has the ability. I will say this. I think we are a bit overestimating the Packers a little bit. Like, I watched their games. You watch that Bears game.
Yeah.
There are some things that they're still not doing great. The defense is about the same. We talk all about Aaron Rodgers and his ability to kind of close out games, but the offense isn't really humming. Like, it's very kind of like middle of the packy right now. Like, I feel like people are way overhyping them, but you are playing a football team that just kind of gets gashed on a week-to-week basis.
Right.
Which makes it hard to cover a number. Alrighty. This game should be fun. Chiefs Titans. Chris Bouchard having himself a day this week.
Oh my God.
Dude, between that and Keyshawn I saw a clip last night of him going after Trevor Lawrence, and it literally broke Dan Orlovsky's brain. I watched in real time Dan Orlovsky blow a fuse, and just like how stupid the argument got. And then, oh my goodness, I can't think of his name right now, but some of the takes about like the Michigan State upcoming Michigan game, there's just been a lot of bad media personalities out there just kind of being very proud at not being very good at their job. And it's frustrating to say the least, but hopefully Terry Luan is good. We don't know if he'll be playing this game. Obviously, it's a very scary situation last week, but Chiefs are the favorite at 5.5, over unders at 56.5. Where are you kind of putting this game, and what do you like here?
Well, speaking of, it being hard to cover, the Kansas City Chiefs, which obviously they covered, against Washington, but that doesn't mean anything. And just really quick, going back on the media personality. Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, it makes me bitter that these guys are making so much money and I'm sitting here podcasting in my 650 square foot apartment. And I just know more about sports than they do, but that's okay.
Dude, I was legit mad online this week because it is frustrating. Like, we're grinding over here and we know our shit. And like, it's a bitter party of two right now in this seats, but it's frustrating as heck to see these people.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
And then to brag about not knowing their job. Like, I was watching a show in Michigan and they were bragging about not knowing anybody in the Michigan State defense. I was like, really? What are you getting paid to do at this point? They have one of the best defensive ends in the country. You don't know his name. You don't know anybody on that team's name. Like, get out of here. Stop being that proud of being that bad at your job.
Yeah, it's stupid. But yeah, totally agree with you. But in this game here, like, I don't know how you can.
Braylon Edwards. That's who it was. My brain was going blank. See, now I'm having that moment, but there were just so many clips this week. It felt like my feed was overloaded with people just like messing up football players' names and stuff. And it's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah. But for this game here, like, I can't trust Kansas City to cover, I don't think. Just after seeing, this might be some sort of recency effect, but, after seeing Tennessee and just knowing Derrick Henry is going to run wild on this defense. I mean, absolutely wild. You have to imagine they'll probably control time of possession in this game. And the Chiefs, man, I think I brought it up last week. I was talking to my dad like a week or two ago, and we were just talking about how just the Chiefs are just so sloppy now and how Mahomes, he just looks different. He's still, probably the best player in the NFL. He's amazing. He's got a bunch of touchdowns. He's going to throw for 5,000 plus yards, but it's just different over there. They just don't have that same aura about them. Like, they're almost like they're like Conor McGregor. Like, no one's really scared of them anymore. It's like, so I trust Tennessee to just be able to control the clock. I don't even hate them winning this game, honestly, but I don't know if I'm going to take that, but I don't hate it. Kansas City's obviously be able to move the ball and them pretty well too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think they're going to have too many issues, but they have a lot of mishaps now on offense, just drop balls that turn into interceptions. That's happened with Tyreek Hill multiple weeks now. It's just looking a little bit sloppy. They don't have Hilaire. I don't know how much that really matters. Maybe a little bit, but
I'd say a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, it does.
Not into the results we're seeing, but yeah, it's certainly an effect.
But I just can't trust Kansas City to be able to, cover 4.5 here, even though, it is that number. I hate 4.5, but 4.5, I don't hate when, you're getting 4.5. So I like it with Tennessee there.
This is true. If I were to tell you that we would be 6 weeks into the week and Patrick Mahomes had more interceptions than Jameis Winston, and both have started the exact same amount of games. I don't know what I would have believed myself. I would have said, you're a damn liar. But Patrick Mahomes is sitting here at 8 interceptions this year, which is his highest season interceptions back in 2018, second year, by the way, at 12. He's eclipsed all his other season totals through 6 weeks at 8. He's sitting at 8 right now. His yards per pass attempt are down 8.1 last year. They're at 7.8 this year. His intended air yards is down virtually a whole yard. So he's not, pushing the ball as far downfield. It's the attention to detail stuff. It seems, and we saw this last year, this was a team that would get down big early and then they would just turn it on. Like they were the guys who it seemed like they were like, we'll roll the ball out and it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And that worked. I mean, they got to the Super Bowl where they then got beaten like a drum by my Buccaneers. But yeah, it's bad. Like and I think you clean up the turnovers, this offense is humming. Like they're still able to move the ball pretty decently, but it's the attention to detail. It's the drop passes. It's, Patrick Mahomes, he had a very, speaking of Jameis like interception against your Reds
super Jameis like
Washington football team. Yeah, very Jameis like. And he did not get murdered for it, and he should have been, because that was insane. It blew my mind. Also, by the way, I meant to mention this point with the football team. What were those uniforms? They look like 1920s Harvard out there. I was like, did I go back in a time machine? What am I watching? These jerseys are so ugly.
Those are our homecoming ones. We wear them once a year, but I've never understood why we wear the helmets that aren't the same shade as the jersey. I've never understood that. Are we not allowed to change the helmet color? I don't understand.
It's the Washington football team, man.
It's just Dan cutting corners on money. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
But yeah, I turned on that game and I was like, what am I watching? Am I watching Harvard football 1920? Like what is going on here? Unbelievable. Yeah. But yeah, just an insane. It is. And to your point, there is, Derrick Henry, there is no stopping him at this point. Like this man is full freight train mode. There are business decisions that need to be made when you are a safety or a corner and he gets into the open field. And we have seen some of them being made, because who wants to tackle that man? He's a defensive end running at the speed of light.
2 minutes ago, I just said Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. I'm sorry, no. Derrick Henry is the best player in the NFL. He's the best player in the NFL, dude. Usually running backs don't get that, but he's unstoppable.
Yeah, and I would say load the box and make Ryan Tannehill beat you through the air. But with this Chiefs defense, I honestly don't know if that can even be the solution to the problem, because, even loading the box, they're second worst in the NFL when it comes to rush yards per attempt. They're giving up 5.2 rush yards per attempt. That's before playing the best running back by a mile in the league. Like, I think the Chiefs ought to win this game, because the Titans are just terrible and just an absolute train wreck on defense. Mm-hmm. But there's a part of me that's like, damn, if you can just, here's the part. If the Chiefs jump out to a giant lead to start the game, if they're up 14-0, like in a blink of an eye, the Titans are screwed here, because you can't control the game. But if you can get a stop in those opening drives and you can keep it close early, this is Titans all day.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it is crazy. All right. This is another hold your butts, we're going to hell game. Falcons, Dolphins, +2.5. The Dolphins, over under 47.5. The Dolphins are the worst team in football. It is. I don't know any other way to brand it. They are the worst team in football, and they have a situation that the Bears had not that long ago, except for the Bears were still a good football team, but they drafted a quarterback, and the other quarterbacks that they could have gotten are absolutely killing it in the league. And they're sitting here with Tua, who, needs to be wrapped in bubble wrap every game to try to play. I don't know what the Dolphins do here. I do kind of like the Falcons. Both defenses are allowing 29.5, 29.6 points per game. The offense is humming a little bit better for the Falcons. What do you make of this game, and where are you at here?
This game sucks, but I love the Falcons. How could you not? And Matt Ryan's only thrown 3 picks, and they were all against Tampa. Matt Ryan, while he's old and looks old, he's like making it work. The team's not good, but he's doing fine. Also, can my team please trade schedules? New York Giants, Washington, Jets. Now they got the Dolphins. What's going on here? What? What are they 2-3? Are they 3-3? What are they? Are they 3-3?
Falcons 2-3.
2-3. Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, how are they not like, I know they're terrible, but how are they not like 4-1? But anyways, I love them here, even though I don't like them as a team. I think they suck, but I mean, the Dolphins really suck.
So bad.
Yeah, I mean, they're a terrible team. I'm kind of with you. They probably are the worst team in the NFL. I'd take the Lions against the Dolphins. You kidding me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it's a bad situation. And this is one of those, we have talked about various quarterbacks. It's hard to judge where they're at because the coaching situation is so bad. This is one of the coaching situations that's really hard to judge because the roster is just really, really bad in the pieces that I put about. And, part of that's on Brian Flores, but like not a lot. And it is, it's tough. I don't know how the Dolphins keep this under a field goal and potentially win this game. I just can't find an avenue where that happens, especially when you look at what they have been going through. I mean, Jacksonville beats them by 3. Tampa hangs 45 on them. Obviously, the Falcons are not Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but like they're an efficient-ish offense. Colts hang 27 on them. Las Vegas. I mean, they played a hard schedule, but like they're just getting burned left and right here. And to your point, Matt Ryan's old. He can't really move in the pocket, but as long as he has just some resemblance of a normal period of time to get rid of the ball, he's still very efficient and good. Like, he can still sling it a little. We saw Kyle Pitts come alive recently. So it is, yeah, I mean, Falcons with under a field goal. I don't know how you don't take that right now.
Yeah, totally with you.
All righty. Jets, Patriots. Lines at 7. The rematch. Man, Bill Belichick's catching some heat here. A lot harder to be next man up when you don't have to go to quarterback there, Bill. Little tough there to keep that one going. Where do you make this game? How are we viewing this one?
This game sucks. I don't really know what to do with it. 7. I mean, the Jets are terrible, but 7 is. I mean, that's a big number. I do like New England at home though a lot. I think they definitely show up more at home. I mean, they played well against Dallas, so I think I'd take them -7, but I don't love it. I'll probably be staying away from this game mostly. I do like how Mac Jones has looked though. He's thrown some ball in some tight windows recently, whereas they were kind of covering him up and kind of like having him play safe. I think he's starting to take more chances, and that's what this team needs because someone's got to kind of take over and like get a spark here in New England. I'll take them -7, but oh God, I don't love that number. I think that number's a little big, even though the Jets are terrible, but the Pats they're just not the same. We all know that.
They are. And that's sort of the question today is Bill Belichick going to kind of allow Mac Jones to come out of his shell a little bit here? Because Mac Jones has shown an ability to kind of sling it a little here, but it does feel like the offense is being a little bit more conservative. It's keeping him tight. This is 2 pretty decent defenses and 2 pretty bad offenses. They're very similar defensively. They're basically giving up about the same yards total per game and average. The Jets surprisingly have a decent red zone defense when you look at the metrics. It's just the Jets offense is just, and I know Zach Wilson's come a little bit around, but he's still not like, we're giving him a lot there. We're kind of holding his water by saying that. It's a tough game. 7's a big number though for me on this one. I think I'm staying away from this game. I don't love it. If you put a gun to my head, make a pick, I got to imagine the Pats are going to be able to cover this, but it's one of those games where it's
just like, even though we were worried last week about the Colts, which they ended up covering, but I mean, it's 2-4 team versus 1-4 team or whatever it is. And they're, I mean, a 7-point spread. I mean, it's big.
Yeah, it's a big, yeah. And there's a part of me that wants to go Jets because they're starting to come a little bit around. The defense is more surprising than I think most people would think when you go and look at their numbers. They are better, but it's the under is also so low at 42.5. I considered taking the under because it is just 2 very good, like 2 good defenses against 2 very bad offenses right now. But if the offense for the Patriots allows Mac to be a little bit more aggressive, then yeah, they cover this number, I think.
Yeah.
Is at least my read on it. All right, here's a big one. Lions Rams. The spread is 15.5 points. This is it's not the biggest spread of the week, but it's a big spread for the NFL. We've got multiple revenge games going on here. The number, actually, I apologize, is up to 16.
I was about to say, I'm getting 16 and a half.
I do apologize. I had to relook at it. I made sure to pull it up. I put these lines in on the prep sheet the night before. It has moved to 16 and a half. It is a big spread in climbing. What are we making here of this game? I mean, Lions got torched last weekend by the Bengals, and this offense for the Rams is humming.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they got torched in LA last week. I mean, crushed the Giants. So, I mean, they're facing a similar team in, the Lions. So I'll probably take them to cover this massive college spread. I actually probably won't make that wager. I'm more leaning towards the over. I think there's gonna be a lot of points in this game, especially from the LA side. But I mean, I think the Lions can maybe, chip in with like 14 or so. But I think LA is mostly going to literally just smoke them. I think it's going to be a complete blowout. So I'll take them to cover the 16 and a half if I had to, but I'm leaning more towards just betting the over in it.
The Rams are getting 8.6 net yards gained per pass attempt. The Lions are giving up 8.5 yards per pass attempt. That is best and worst in each of those categories. It's a bad spot to be in the Lions. Jared Goff is a one read chuck and dump quarterback at this point in time. I mean, he's not looking to push the ball down the field. Dan Campbell called him out in his press conference this past week, said, he's got to step up a little bit in here and make some throws. There's some throws he's just missing that he should be hitting. But we all sort of ignored this about Jared Goff. Like, Sean McVay got as much as you're going to get out of him at the quarterback position. And I mean, no offense to Dan Campbell and Anthony Lynn, but we're not exactly working with Mensa Group over here in the offensive coordinating department. All right. Like, this is not, it's hard to get, the production you got when he was with the Rams, especially with the talent level they have. 15 and a half is just such a big spread. Like, I know how good the Rams are, but it almost feels like a lot has to go right in the NFL, because if you're up, say they're up, 24-0. Yeah. You're telling me the Rams can't, or the Lions can't maybe get a garbage time touchdown here or something? Like, I don't think so, because we saw it against the Bengals. Dan Campbell's apparently an ending game field goal guy too. Now we know that pissed me off. That pissed off the whole game. The fans that were still left in that game just booing the heck out of that one. Like, what are we do? You're getting blown out. Like, this field goal does nothing.
Let's kick a field goal.
And then he tries to kick the onside kick and calls timeouts to get the ball back. What is going on? My buddy next to me was just sweating because he had the under, just absolutely sweating. Like, God damn, the Bengals better not kick a field goal here or score a touchdown for no reason. But yeah, it's a tough game for this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like Goff. He's regressed every year since the first year with McVay. So we knew a massive regression was coming this year when he just completely was out from under McVay. And yeah, that's pretty much what has happened here.
Yep. And, Kupp and Woods are going off. They found their groove.
God, yeah.
Also, you don't think, speaking up against your coach doesn't work. Woods' targets have gone way up since he had his little kind of outburst because he wasn't getting as many looks as he thought he should be, which is fair. I mean, he's a heck of a player and should be utilized in the offense. But yeah, this team is humming, to say the least. Eagles, Raiders, numbers at 3, over-unders 49.5. This is, I don't like the side I have right now. I'm going to kick this to you to start, but I'm not a fan of the pick I'm about to make here.
I actually, this is one game where I can't figure it out, because I think these teams are they're kind of similar in ways. I mean, the Raiders, I think, are a better team, but they both have just flashes of just very, like, a lot of promise, and then they both just also know how to throw up all over themselves. This is a game where I just think these teams are so similar. I think this strikes me kind of as a close game, and I'd probably take Philly +3, but I don't like it very much. This is
it's so funny how we find ourselves on like virtually almost the same side every week. I am Philly on 3. It scares the bejesus out of me because Nick Sirianni loves nothing more than to just throw up on himself and like completely forget that when they run the ball, they're one of the better running offenses in the league. And
I don't think he knows Miles Sanders' name.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows.
We need to get a check on that. Somebody in a press conference ask him who his starting running back is this week.
Who's starting a running back this week? Coach, will you be starting a running back this week?
Yeah. Do you carry one on the roster, Coach? Do you know if there's one listed on your roster? Um, I mean, just insane. But yeah, it is. They are very similar. I mean, Eagles 22.8 points per game, Raiders 24.5 points per game, allowing Eagles 25.3, Raiders 20.4. The total yardage is very similar defensively. I do think, though, that the edge and the reason I like the Eagles here is I do think their defensive line is about to eat. The interior of that Raiders offensive line is not very good. And the ability for the Eagles to play a very aggressive style kind of up front and get pressure on Carr, who relies so much on the big explosive plays. Like this Raiders offense is completely reliant on giant chunk plays. And if they don't have it, they're not consistent down to down. And I think for a defense in the Eagles who is a little underrated, I think, by the public, who plays sort of more of a bend don't break style. They do not want to give up the big play. They don't, they gave up some to the Bucs, but that is not stereotypical of them. I think they're going to kind of feast here, and then you just got to pray. I mean, if you haven't spoken to God in a while and you believe in him, you might want to make a phone call because we need Jalen Hurts to be decent to this point. And he has been another guy where I don't think he's the guy, but the things they're doing offensively are not helping his case.
Right.
Alrighty. Bears versus Bucs. Line is at 12.5. Over under 47.5. The Bears, their offense is off like a herd of turtles with Matt Nagy. They make the switch. It's a little bit better, but still not great. Their offensive line, I have a feeling they're going to be pulling security guards from the stadium to come play because that thing's an absolute dumpster fire. Yeah. And then they're going up against my Bucs, who are rolling on offense, have concerns on defense. Where are we placing this game, and how are we kind of marking this one down?
It's a big number here, and Chicago has played pretty decent round of quarterbacks so far. They played Rodgers, they played Burrow, they played Stafford, and for the most part, they've done pretty well against them. I mean, Stafford torched them week 1, but whatever, that's a long time ago. But I agree with you. They have no one on the offensive line. That's a huge issue. Tampa, they're going to Tampa. That's terrifying. If he gets any time, he should be able to throw against him because Tampa's definitely struggling against the pass. Now they've given up a lot of pass yards, but I think there's also, one thing that you need to remember: you can't run against this team at all. Nope. So they've given up a lot of pass yards because there's no point in even running the ball against them. Nick Sirianni would love to play Tampa every weekend because he would never have to run the ball, and he would never because there's just no point. There really is no point in running the ball against them. It's a waste of a play.
No, it is.
So I do think, in a sense, that they do get a lot of shit for their pass defense. I think it might be skewed a little bit because of that.
100%.
Yeah. So, but I do like, I just like Tampa to kind of kick their ass at home. It's a pretty long travel for that team to come down to Tampa and just probably get their ass kicked.
I agree. And you hit it right in the head. People are completely overblowing the Tampa Bay pass defense. It's not great by no stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to come on here and be like, it's great. But for an offense that has the most pass attempts against them out of all of the teams in the NFL, they're only letting up a net yards gain per pass of 6.4. That's 19th worst in the league. Like, that's not terrible. And right. We're completely banged up. Like, it's not great. Don't get me wrong. But it's not as bad as people think. The thing that scares me about Tampa here, because I think we should blow the barn doors off them. I mean, we should put Matt Nagy out of his misery here, old Yeller style, this weekend. But the thing that makes me nervous is Justin Fields has a pretty solid intended air yards per pass attempt. He's looking at a little over 10 yards. He's looking to push the ball. I went back and watched that game last week against the Packers. He is looking down the field for sort of that big play. And if they can even give him, the smallest margin of time to do that, he could potentially rip off some plays here. The problem is the Bucs are blitzing at one of the highest rates in the NFL, and that time is not going to be there. It is you can only hold the flood doors back for so long against this Bucs defense. And they are very aggressive. So to counter that, I do think they're going to have to use Justin Fields' legs more than they have been doing. There's going to have to be, I think, a lot of kind of one read and run or dump plays for Justin Fields. And those plays are going to have to be down the field, because if they don't push the ball and Bruce Arians and Leftwich don't go into a freaking turtle shell in the second half, we should hang a big one on them. Like this is one of those games where, as a Bucks fan, we really need to pour it on and not keep this close. But I am very nervous to be holding a Bucks ticket at minus 12.5. They are also on my teaser, though, to tease them down through 7. Because of that ability of Justin Fields to potentially rip some off, and his desire to push the ball down the field. He is one of the higher rated quarterbacks as far as intended air yards per pass attempt. And that makes me a little bit nervous against a Bucks team who does have a tendency to give up some big chunk plays.
Yep.
All righty. But the offense is still terrible. It is terrible. I mean, they are off, like I said, like a herd of turtles on that offense. And they are the most reliant in the NFL for rush yards to get them going. They have the largest percentage of their total yards come from the run game. I like Herbert. I think he's a great back. I thought it was a great draft pick. I picked him up in fantasy. I said it when he got drafted by them. He was a great back coming out of Virginia Tech, but you are going against the best rush efficiency defense in the NFL. You might as well just bang your head against the wall and just give up the down if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Texans Cardinals, biggest spread of the year. Actually, I don't know if it's the biggest spread of the year, but it's going to be up there in contention. This is a college football spread. The number's at 17.5. Over under is 47.5. Where are we at in this game? How are we feeling about this one?
I mean, not feeling great because, I mean, that's just such a massive spread. I mean, I know Arizona's humming in there. I mean, eventually, I guess, do we start calling them the best team in the NFL? I don't know.
Power rated like it for a lot of people, and it's hard to argue against it right now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. This is just a weird game to me. I would probably go Arizona to cover here, but it's probably a game that I won't bet on at all. I kind of do like the over in it. I like over 47.5. But as far as that spread, I mean, that's like you said, that's such a college spread. That's crazy.
It's seeing a 17.5 number. I can't bet that. Like, to have a team, and they could absolutely blow them out, but it is the National Football League. Like, it's hard to, I mean, it's obviously we see it, blowouts happen, but it's hard to beat a team by 18 plus points, because that's essentially what you have to do here. Even against the Texans, who are terrible. I mean, David Mills is a disaster. In his defense, Culley and the offensive scheme is also an absolute disaster. An 8-year-old playing Madden probably calls a better game than they do at times in Texas. They're averaging 15.5 points play. They're giving up 28.7. The Cardinals are basically the exact reverse of that at 32.3 points per game and giving up only 18.2. The defense has shown some holes in the Cardinals. I don't know if the Texans can. I mean, they clearly showed it in that Pats game that they have some sign of life, but then they immediately came right back down to their, bottom feeder self. They're in competition for the worst team in the NFL. I feel bad for Culley down there because, he's a football lifer. He got his chance, but he's another guy that's going to have a short tenure as a head coach in the NFL.
He also can't pronounce analytics. He says analytics.
Oh, it's so bad. I mean, for myself, who has a lot of trouble, pronouncing things, I'm going to blame my dyslexia on that one. But it's not great in the year 2021 to not be able to say analytics. Yeah. I'm not betting this game. I'd stay away from it. If I had to do it, I think on just pure principle, I take the Texans on just the fact that there will probably be like a backdoor cover. Like 18 is such a giant number. We'll see. Colts 49ers. This game is intriguing to me. This game, it's a bad weather game, it's looking like, but you might want to check the forecast as we get closer because weather changes. Obviously, we're all humans and we know that. 44.5 is the over under. 4.5 is the spread. This number has moved a little bit towards the 40 or against the 49ers. If you're a 49ers better here. Where do we feel in this game? Because this is something we talked about last week, where the Colts defense, we don't know what we get week to week, but the offense it's becoming a pretty stable product where you know what you're going to get from it. Carson Wentz, I mean, we made fun of Big Ben scrambling around like a penguin. That man is hilarious to watch scramble. I get a good chuckle on Sunday when Carson Wentz is facing pressure and starting to run, because man, I think my grandmother could beat his 40 time at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he was a pretty athletic, like quick guy at first, but he was in Philly. But yeah, he's just had so many leg injuries and stuff that he just like can't really do it anymore.
This is a man who managed to sprain both his ankles in the game. So like
two ankles, both ankles. I mean, unbelievable. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting game because I feel like it's two teams that I think have just really underachieved so far this season. I was actually, I don't think, I mean, God, I don't remember, but I don't recall myself ever being too high on the 49ers. So I'm not overly shocked here. It's kind of, they've lost 3 straight. Yeah, I've just never been a Jimmy G guy. I've never been a believer in that and all that, but whatever. This is just kind of, it's just two teams that probably should be better. I think I kind of like the Colts here, actually. Just, I think they're a little bit more, they're clicking a little more on offense. The defense is okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. And I just think they're just rolling in with a little more momentum. It'll be interesting to see how they play, obviously, if it is, a bad weather game. That's obviously a concern with a team like Indianapolis. But I'll take him here plus 4.5. I think I could see, San Fran winning a squeaker by like 3 points. I don't know. Whenever Jimmy G wins, it seems to a lot of times be kind of close games.
Yeah. I think that the fact that the 49ers are coming off a bye is pretty right. They're coming off. I'm not making that up. As soon as that left my mouth, I was like, oh, God, I don't know if that's correct, but I'm like 99.9%. I
don't recall Trey Lance playing last weekend, so I think you're
right. Is a pretty interesting prospect. The problem for me, and once again is, what are we going to get from the Colts defense on the defensive side of the football? They can be good, and then they can be extremely bad at times. And the offense, we said they're more consistent. Carson Wentz, when he has time, he's pretty efficient, and we see signs of life of his better self. And that was something I at least somewhat anticipated going into this season. I think pretty much most people did. But even the Texans were able to move the ball more than I would have liked to see them be able to do with what the product they have available down there. And so that was a little shocking to say the least. This is a tough one. Yeah, they did have a bye last week. This is a game where, to me, it's the fact that they had a bye. Or no, I'm sorry, they did not have a bye. I'm just, my brain, just ignore me. My brain is.
I mean, aren't they 2-3? Did they have to have a bye?
They are 2-3. Yeah. When did their God? This is great.
I got you here, bro. Hold on.
Great. They
had a bye last week.
They did. Yes, they did. All right. So I am right. I'm not getting a Chris Bouchard issue here. I know my stuff. My brain is just a little mush at this point. The lights are beaming down a little bit harder today. It's getting hot in here. I got a sweatshirt on that is just melting me alive underneath. That was a mistake to wear. I'm overheating at this point. I don't have a pick formulated just yet in this game, but my gut is sort of saying Colts because we're over the field goal number now. We're at 4.5. That a field goal feels about right for this game.
Yeah, it does.
All things considered. Mm-hmm. All righty. Saints Seahawks. Good old Jameis. He has been neutered. He is not turning the ball over, but he's also not moving the ball over. This is a team that is just interesting in the Saints. I am very, very interested in this under to start off the week. This is a team that is struggling to move the ball. The Saints, they're 24th best offense when it comes to yards per play. It's not great. This is a Seahawks team that is dealing with a backup in Geno Smith. These are defenses in the Saints that is still very good though. And a defense in the Seahawks that can be gashed still. I mean, they're giving up 306 yards per game through the air, 140 on the ground. They're giving up 24.8 points per game. Where do we sort of make this one at, and how are we kind of liking this game and how it unfolds?
First of all, let me just say I pretty much hate both of the night games this weekend. I think they suck. Anyways,
yeah, it's absolutely
terrible. These are terrible games. Even if Russell was playing it, I mean, I don't really want to watch Jameis, but anyways, whatever. I'm leaning more towards the Saints here, though. I just, Geno was okay-ish in his game. I think he's going to struggle more against the Saints. I know, Pittsburgh's got, a great defense and all that, but I just think, the more that Geno starts to play, I think maybe it'll get a little worse. And I like the Saints to probably cover here. And you said it, though. It is so bizarre. Jameis, I mean, they don't move the ball. That offense doesn't move the ball at all. Like when I went to the WFT Saints game, and obviously Washington lost, but they only scored off big plays. They never moved the ball.
In the year 2021, they were averaging 180 yards through the air per game. They're averaging 125 through the ground. Like passing is more efficient in today's NFL. And there's somewhat there's 55 yards separating the two units.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, 180 yards. That's like what Alex Smith used to do sometimes.
And this is Jameis, who was setting the yes, he was turning over the ball, but he was throwing.
I mean, 5,000 yards. I mean,
it's crazy. They've neutered the man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
It's what happened down Drew Brees and Sean Payton have neutered the man. The under was very appealing to me potentially here. I want to see, if there's going to be any weather there. I haven't looked at that yet. Because the Saints defense is still, it's a good unit. I mean, they're giving up 79 yards per game through the rush. They're 285 yards per game through the air. They're a pretty solid unit right now. And so I do think, to your point, Geno is going to have he's having a bit of a come down, but this is a spot that I think is going to be very difficult for him in this offense. So I'm interested to see how that dynamic kind of plays out.
As a Washington football team fan, I've seen more backup quarterbacks than about anyone in the world. So let me tell you something. A lot of times they'll come out and they'll look decent at first. They come back to life most of the time, 99% of the time.
As soon as you start getting film on them, as soon as that pressure starts to come in, that they're the guy right now, it surprisingly starts to collapse on them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Saints here as that number comes down. So that's the week. It's a blunder of a week. I think the teaser that I am very interested in is Packs Bucks. I think it's a pretty solid, if we're going to tease points down, where I'm headed. I don't normally do it, but I think that's the one I'm looking at. I may add a couple other games in there, but just a two-team teaser.
Oh yeah.
Games as far as card, I'm going to tweet out my full card here a little bit later. So make sure you're following @TriviaGetsPod. But I will be betting on the Bengals this week. I said, I gonna take. I don't love. Well, I do love it. I love the Falcons. I'm taking the Falcons.
Yeah, I love
I'm going to be taking the Eagles, and I am probably going to be taking the Titans. But those are the only games I am definitively betting at this point. I'll tweet out a full card later this week, so make sure you're following us @TriviaKidsPod. Anything before we wrap this bad boy up?
I got nothing. No brain activity.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're on I'm gonna overheat here in a second, so we're gonna call it a day. We'll be back later in the week for some more stuff, and as always, peace.